Oh man. What's up? What's happening? What's happening, everybody? How y'all doing? Y'all staying safe out there in the pandemic? I just wanted to do a live sense. Melvin, what's up? Look at Curry, man. Look at Curry, man. What's up, Melvin? What's up? What's going on with y'all, man? Hope y'all staying safe out there. Hope your family, hope your friends, hope everybody that you know is doing well out there. And this draft weekend pumped out so many videos, edited, and all that stuff talking about the draft picks. And I wanted to take this time to do a live video going over the Vikings grade for their 2020 draft class. And also, a big shout out to you guys, all the viewers out there that participated. Hope you guys had a great time on this channel during draft weekend. It was a lot of fun to do that stuff. Normally, I do one video, 2 or 3 max a week. And then this draft weekend, it was just boom, 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 boom. So hope you guys had a good time, but wanted to do a grade on the 2020 Minnesota Vikings draft class. Kyle, what's going on? Charles, what's up? Baja Blasting Gamers, what's up? So I guess let me know your thoughts on the grade for the Vikings, how you would grade them on their draft performance, Rick Spielman and company. Personally, I would give this just blank slate, just in a vacuum. When you look at the Vikings and the players that they took, I would, honest to God, give the Minnesota Vikings an A for this draft. It was absolutely incredible. Now, if you want to look at it from the scope of, okay, does this make the Vikings incrementally better going into the 2020 season? Are they so much better from 2019 heading into the next season? I think that's going to be continued. Right now, I would say probably not, but for the long haul, and if you just look at who the Vikings picked up on a blank slate, I thought they did an excellent job. And the only hiccup I would have going into next season, why they're not exponentially better heading into the 2020 season, is because we still have questions with the offensive line, particularly with the 2 guard spots. I'm not really comfortable with Riley Reef possibly moving into left guard, and I wouldn't even be surprised if Pat Elflein, if he's the new pet of Rick Spielman, as in Rick Spielman, he did this with Matt Khalil, how he would go up there. And because Pat Elflein, he was our 3rd round draft pick, if I'm not mistaken, in the 2020 season, or 2017 off season heading into the 2017 season, and just get up there and say, you know what, Pat Elflein, pretty good rookie year. The 2018 year, a little bit of a hiccup. In 2019, you know what, going from John DeFilippo to Kevin Stefanski, a little bit of a rough patch there, but we have no doubt he's healthy, he's ready to go, he's locked in, and we expect him to play better. So I wouldn't even be surprised if Pat Elflein, if they decide to run it back again with Pat Elflein as the left guard. And then right guard, Drew Samia. I would feel a lot more comfortable if there was just more than one person to compete with Drew Samia. Certainly, we could bring back Josh Klein. Last time I checked, he's still a free agent, but who knows if he's still pissed off, or if he is pissed off with the fact that, wait, you guys really cut me after having a good year. But all that aside, just looking at the players and who they drafted, I thought they did a hell of a job. The Vikings, it was almost getting stale to a point. We just needed fresh legs, fresh players, a lot more energy. And I think we're going to do that, especially on the defensive side of the ball, where it was just the defense last year in 2019 was just so exhausting to watch. It was more of a bend but don't break defense, whereas they're giving up yardage, but they're still top. I would say, I don't have it in front of me, but if I'm not mistaken, they were either 8th or at least certainly top 10 last year in scoring defense. So it was bend but don't break. But I think now it's going to be high flying players on the defense. The cornerbacks I'm really, really excited about. So what grade would you give the Vikings on draft weekend? Let's see what some of you guys say. Riley Hulich says an A. Michael Jackson is standing by. What? Come on, man. Don't disrespect the king of pop. Michael Jackson is standing behind you, says A. Um, let's see. Devin Jones says Trent Williams did us dirty. And you know what? I'm going to talk about that real quick. Let me just get a couple of more of your thoughts. A minus, A minus, Z. Bye bye. Stephon Diggs says A minus, which is funny because when Trayvon Diggs, when he got selected by the Dallas Cowboys, I believe in the second round, they showed, by the way, that virtual draft they did was fantastic. All the IT guys, the tech guys that work for the NFL, they all deserve a raise. That was fun to watch. It could really easily have gone sour, as in bandwidth just shutting down, just freeze frame, but it went as smoothly as you could possibly hope. But when they had Trayvon Diggs and he got selected by the Dallas Cowboys, and they show the family all around him hugging him, they showed Stephon Diggs, and I was like, dude, get this dude off my TV, man. I don't want to see this dude anymore. But anyway, getting back to who is this? Devin Jones that says Trent Williams did us dirty. Quick point on that. This is the last that I'm going to talk about this. So when the Vikings selected Ezra Cleveland, I was like, hell yeah, bro. Fuck the Redskins. They keep taking this to the 11th hour and keep upping the ante, which in some ways was true because reports came out. They wanted a second round pick. Then as the draft was going on between day 1 and day 2, they wanted second round value. So that could mean a combination of things. That could mean a third round pick and then a day 3 pick. So that could be, let's see, a third round pick and then a fourth round pick. And I'm just saying, who are you guys to sit here and say this is what we want? Because you've had over a year to resolve this. You could have got a first last year, definitely at the very least, a second last year. And I remember the Cleveland Browns, they were the front runners. And there was a quote coming from the Browns talking about, oh, are they going to trade for Trent Williams last year? And the quote from the Browns organization was, it takes 2 to tango. So that told me Dan Snyder and the Redskins were all over it. They think Trent Williams, he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But let's be real, even if we did acquire Trent Williams this year, was it going to jump us from, let's say, what did we go, 10-6 last year? Would that really jump us from 10 wins to 12 or 13? Not by itself. Certainly the scheme you develop around him and the offensive line would definitely help. But I mean, my God, they were just clumsy this entire time. And don't tell me that leading up to the 11th hour before the Vikings selected Ezra Cleveland, that all of a sudden, hey, guess what? The Jets, they bowed out. The Browns, they bowed out. They took offensive tackles in the first round. And all of a sudden, you were clumsy this entire time. Mind you, like I said, I know this team like the back of my hand. I don't give a shit about the sources that come out because this is the same team that allowed Ryan Clark, just before he was tapping in his prime. Ryan Clark, we know who he is. He's on ESPN. He's a commentator. He does a great job for them. But he had a great career with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They let him walk away before he was tapping into his prime for Adam Archuleta. This is also the same team where Dan Snyder, after Kirk Cousins had one of his best performances with the Washington Redskins. Now, this was during the time where RG3 was still there, but he was hurt, so Kirk Cousins was filling in, and we didn't know if RG3 was going to eventually take over again. Kirk Cousins had one of the games of his life with that organization. Dan Snyder walks right past him post-game in the locker room, reportedly, and consoles RG3. So don't tell me all of a sudden you were clumsy last year heading into now, and then at the 11th hour, suddenly we got it all figured out. Oh, it's not our fault. Trent Williams, he nixed the trade. And then Trent Williams, his team, his camp, his agent came out the following day and said, that ain't true. So I don't give a shit. And I know Ian Rappaport, he came out later because he was the dude that originally reported that Trent Williams, he didn't want to get traded to Minnesota. And I respect Ian Rappaport. I respect what he does. I have no doubt that someone told him that Trent Williams nixed that trade. But you have to think where the source is coming from. It is the Washington Redskins. And if that is the case, we have all due respect to Ian Rappaport. This is the same guy where almost this time last year, he reported, the same guy, Ian Rappaport, guess what? The Steelers and the Bills, they're this close to sending Antonio Brown, the Steelers, to Buffalo. It's a done deal. Done data. It's happening. What happened? It didn't happen. That's why I'm not trying to disrespect any reporters, anybody that has breaking news or anything like that. I just have no desire to do anything like that, breaking news, whatever. I want it to be where I'm just giving my opinion. You saw the news yesterday, and here you are just getting my opinion, because once in a while, reporters, they'll get pimped out by the sources of whoever their agenda is to get that source out. So all of a sudden, you were so clumsy leading up to this point, but now, Trent Williams, he screwed it up. We had it perfectly laid out. Nah, man. And if there's any team in the NFL that would release information to say, hey, this player screwed it up so that way we don't look bad, it is the Washington Redskins. So I don't believe for a second that Trent Williams nixed the trade, because he even came out. We don't even have to say, oh, what source is this where Trent Williams is denying it? He denied it. His direct camp directly came out and said, that didn't happen. So it goes both ways, but just based off the history of the Washington Redskins, I don't believe it for a second at all. Let's see. Sorry to go on that tangent there. Let's see. Okay. So let's go over these picks real quick. So Justin Jefferson, I think he's going to be a solid wide receiver to add next to Adam Thielen. Cornerback Jeff Gladney at the 31st pick in the first round. And to be honest, I'm more excited about Cam Dantzler, who they picked with the 89th pick in the third round, more than Jeff Gladney. I think Jeff Gladney is going to be our slot guy from day one, but Cam Dantzler can fucking play. And if that pro day, or not that pro day, if that combine that he ran a 4.6 is the reason why he dropped to a third round, or maybe who knows. I didn't see the original scouting report. I like to, when it comes to doing these draft picks, these draft profiles, I don't really care to do scouting reports. I like to watch film myself and make my own opinion. So I don't know if he was originally projected to be a first round or a second round pick. And if he fell to the third round, I don't know. But if that 4.6 is the reason why he fell, I'm good with it, because he ran that pro day, the unofficial pro day, at a 4.38. Regardless, when you watch the game film of Cam Dantzler, he can fucking fly. He can play. 6'2". I love this dude. I'm very much more excited about him and the upside of Cam Dantzler. Not to say that Jeff Gladney is going to be a bad player. I think he's going to be very solid for this defense. But Cam Dantzler, he's going to be a real difference maker. Let me know your thoughts. And who else? Ezra Cleveland, obviously, I'm happy with him. Yo, we might have some motherfucking pillars. With Ezra Cleveland and Brian O'Neill, that's legit. They're almost identical clones of each other, swear to God. That is going to be so nice if only we can just address the two guard spots, assuming that Garrett Bradbury, that he continues his trajectory up. Because to start the 2019 season, he wasn't really all that great, was getting pushed around. Garrett Bradbury was. But I thought the second half of the season, I thought he finished really strong. So if he can continue that into next year, then all we're saying is who is going to be our two starting guards. So that's really the only issue with that. But Ezra Cleveland, Brian O'Neill, that's fucking legit, bro. Straight up. Let's see. So we talked about Justin Jefferson, Jeff Gladney, Ezra Cleveland, Cam Dantzler. DJ Wonnum is... I'm gonna be honest. If he might make the team, I think maybe he could make the team. But I got to be honest, folks. There's a lot more when you watch the film of DJ Wonnum out of, what was that, South Carolina? Yeah. When you watch the film, there's a lot more left to be desired from this guy. Like I said, he's a defensive end. This guy is supposed to be able to match up against offensive linemen, and like I said, that's why I project him. If he's going to be on this team, he's not taking a Fede Odenigbo spot at all. But if he's going to be on this team, he needs to be an outside linebacker. He needs some space at the second level between him and offensive linemen, kind of like Anthony Barr to a degree. So that's the one guy. I'm really not expecting much from him, to be honest. Let me know your thoughts. If you think DJ Wonnum, if he's going to kick ass, go ahead. Tell me I'm an idiot. James Lynch, I like. He can definitely rush the passer. I think this defensive line is going to be a rotation. Shamar Stephen, I really hope he doesn't start like, okay, we're going to replace him on rest snaps when Shamar Stephen needs to catch a breath for James Lynch, Jalen Holmes, Armon Watts, even maybe at times Afadio Denabo, he can go inside. I hope that's not the plan. I hope it's just purely rotational because we have a lot of defensive linemen at our disposal. And even if I was of the mindset with Everson Griffin that I don't think we necessarily need him. I don't think it's going to move the needle or either way, whether we'll be better or worse off with Everson Griffin. But if he does come back, let's say he comes back and he's a full-time starter opposite of Daniil Hunter, then Afadio Denabo may be the opposite defensive tackle next to Michael Pierce, and that would be a sexy-ass defensive line. But either way, I like what our D-line has to offer. Let's see what some of your thoughts are before I continue. Let's see, we talked about James Lynch and DJ Wanham before we go to Troy Dye, but let's get some of your thoughts real quick. Baja Blasting Gamer says, how about that Jordan Love pick? I might do a sketch on that because I just thought that was hilarious. Essentially, the Packers did what the Bears did a couple of years ago. And I remember I released a reaction video when the Bears traded up and drafted Mitch Trubisky. And I said, this is a terrible idea. And I got chewed up by Bears fans. You don't know what you're talking about. He's going to be fantastic. What do you know? That aged beautifully. These dudes, the Green Bay Packers, really traded up to draft Jordan Love, the second coming of Jameis Winston. Why? No one was going to threaten you to take Jordan Love, and you traded up for him to take him in the first round for what? Oh my God, that was a shitty draft by the Green Bay Packers. I might do a sketch on it. I'll think about it. We'll see. Let's see. Leroy 100 says Trent didn't want to play with Kirk Ponder. 5 years with him in Washington was long enough. He came out and denied it. And essentially the Washington Redskins as a franchise, based on the history that they've shown, regardless of the front office, as long as Dan Snyder is there, the Washington Redskins franchise is the equivalent of the boy who cried wolf. So maybe Trent really did screw this up. But when you consider they could have got a first last year, maybe even a second, they were so clumsy leading up to this point. Maybe Trent did screw it up, but don't tell me that all of a sudden I'm supposed to feel sorry for the Washington Redskins because, oh, this is finally when they're off the hook. I don't believe it. I just don't. Let's see. Melvin says Samir looked solid in college. I have to think that Rick let what's-his-face go. I'm thinking you're talking about Josh Klein because they had some sort of insurance with Samir. And maybe they do, Melvin, but what I'm saying is Drew Samir could be nice. I don't think it's a lot as everyone is projecting to be. I love Drew Samir coming out of college. I really, really did. And I did a video last year after we got him saying this could be the standout player in training camp. But, I mean, let's face it, he was a bench player, didn't get much time at all. I don't know if he made an appearance during the regular season at all. So why all of a sudden is he now ready to take over? And quite honestly, Josh Klein, concussion or no concussion, he missed a couple of games or two, what have you. I would take that in the risk with Josh Klein over Pat Elflein. If you're going to let any guard go, let Pat Elflein go. But we have two missing spots on the guards. And Drew Samia, I hope he can fill those in because if he doesn't, we're in a world of trouble, even though I think the pillars on the outside is going to be good. Painful fart. Painful fart says, have you looked at our undrafted free agent signings? Are you going to give thoughts on that? I looked at a couple of them. The one guy I will talk about is Courtney Davis. The fact that he went undrafted is that's a miracle because I did a mock draft on in the event that the Minnesota Vikings, they trade for Trent Williams, what would the draft look like? Because then you wouldn't necessarily have to go after a Josh Jones or an Ezra Cleveland. And I mocked Courtney Davis either in the 4th or the 5th round. And I like KJ Osborne, and I know a couple of folks talked about, well, he's going to be a return man, and that's it. I think he has a lot to offer as a wide receiver. But after seeing that the Vikings, they signed Courtney Davis, to me right now, he's the undisputed wide receiver 3. BC Johnson's going to have some trouble. He is going to have a lot of trouble. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets released at all. But right now, as it stands, the wide receiver depth chart: Adam Thielen, wide receiver 1. After that, Justin Jefferson. After that, Courtney Davis, who's a big play waiting to happen. He just has to work on his hands a little bit. Had a case of the drops last year with Texas A&M. And then after that, BC Johnson or KJ Osborne. We'll just have to see. But Courtney Davis, that is the guy that I absolutely love. I think he is going to make this team. No question about it. As far as the other undrafted free agents, we'll see if they make the team. Don Erickson. Sup, Randy? What's up, Don? How you doing, man? Eric Simon says, I like this. Eric Simon says, who's a late round pick that you think will have a big impact on the Vikings? Let me bring up the list right here. I think the late round pick that's going to be really nice is going to be Troy Dye out of Oregon. Now, it really just depends on the play time that he gets, because this dude has a lot to offer. He can be one of our linebackers, but there's just too many players ahead of him. He's not going to eclipse Anthony Barr, even though, consider this a hot take, maybe he could be better than Anthony Barr as far as what he offers on the table. His hype carries him, but what Anthony Barr shows on the film is really, really not all that much. But Troy Dye is an impactful player, or you can move him to safety, but more so in big nickel packages. I think Troy Dye is going to be the sleeper of this draft, along with Cam Dantzler. Cody Brown says, or can Mike Hughes play outside? Certainly he can play outside, but Mike Hughes, he's 5'10". He needs to have a bounce back year. Cam Dantzler is going to be breathing down this dude's neck. What's crazy about this, and I thought about this before I went live, is that when you consider the cornerbacks that we have, Mike Hughes is the veteran now. Mike Hughes is the veteran of this cornerback group, and he has a lot to prove in 2020. So I know he can play outside. They did it a lot with him between the slot and the outside. He can play. Before he tore his ACL, this dude was a beast. But hey, that football, the way it works, they don't give a shit about whether you got hurt or not. It's next man up. And if Cam Dantzler gets the opportunity and outshines him, then that really doesn't look good for Mike Hughes, because then you could say, okay, maybe we can move him to the slot, but then Jeff Gladney's going to be there, assuming that he plays well. So that's going to be, it's going to be a tough one. Some of you folks saying Percy Harvin, will he make a comeback? He looks like he's in great shape, fantastic shape. I don't think it could hurt. I don't think it could hurt the Vikings at all. If they decide to bring him back, then I'm all for it. I have nothing negative to say about Percy Harvin, because our wide receivers before this draft was just depressing to look at. But even with Justin Jefferson, even with Courtney Davis, KJ Osborne, I don't think it could hurt at all. Bring him in for a tryout, see how he looks. Sir Meeps a lot says, do you think it will be Jeff Gladney and Holton Hill on outside with Mike Hughes in the slot? No, I think Mike Hughes is going to be outside. I think he's earned the opportunity to still show whether he can get better or not on the outside. Jeff Gladney is going to be in the slot. And then Holton Hill, I think Holton Hill is going to be definitely one of the starting outside corners heading into next year. Okay, Gamer15 says, don't forget about Tajay Sharp. You're right. Don't forget about him, but let's be real. If you look at the tape, I don't think Tajay Sharp has a chance definitely not against Justin Jefferson. And to be honest, I don't think he really has a chance against Courtney Davis. So if he is going to make the team, I would say wide receiver 4, which makes even more pressure, or puts even more pressure on a BC Johnson. But no, he's a good player. A lot more explosive players ahead of him. Um, Noah O'Connell says Jefferson to be a future wide receiver one. I don't know. And to be honest, I don't think that he will. Not to say that he won't be a good player, but with a wide receiver one, you need to see dynamic playmaking ability. It's I'd be hard pressed, and I can't think off the top of my head, but let me know your guys' thoughts on this. Can you let me know of a wide receiver one who's just extremely solid at everything, but doesn't have that over the top highlight reel, poster board type of plays that you can make consistently? If that from what you see from a wide receiver one in the league right now, outside of Larry Fitzgerald in his prime, let me know if there's anyone out there because I don't see it. Not to say that he can't. If he does, I want to be wrong. He looks like a great kid. Looks like he's just excited to play with us. I think he's going to be just a really, really solid wide receiver too. Um, bum 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 bum. Charles Rex says, I think BC is that dude that everyone puts at the bottom but will push and get playing time. And I will say this, I don't so Charles, I don't think it's all BC's fault that he didn't really stand out much last year. Like I said, we were the third fewest pass attempts in the league in 2019. So you can only take the attempts that you're given. Um, but that's not how coaches and executives look at it. They say, okay, well, even if you get few opportunities compared to everybody else in the league, you better be averaging 22 yards a reception or something like that. I understand. I understand why you think, Charles, it's kind of unfair. Excuse me, what's being done to BC Johnson, but that's just the reality of the league. They don't care about circumstances or they don't care about semantics. They don't care about that. Even if you get 2 snaps on the field, you better get 100 yards in those 2 snaps. I get what you're saying, but they're more into the sexy younger picks that they just got, which is Justin Jefferson and Courtney Davis. We'll do a couple more. Okay, so some of you guys are naming some receivers that are not the sexy wide receiver ones. I'm assuming that's what you're doing. Mike the Vike, you're saying Keenan Allen. I completely disagree. He can stretch the field, even though he's not the fastest guy in the world. I think he's the equivalent of Adam Thielen, swear to God. And we know Adam Thielen, he's not just a technician. He can ad lib, he can catch passes on the sidelines, on the outside hash marks, and still keep his feet in bounds. This dude is a magician with the ball in his hands. And I think Keenan Allen is the same thing. Some of you guys are saying, who else? Some of you guys are saying, I can't see no one else. Darian added $5 in the little bucket. I appreciate that, the YouTube bucket. Darian says, I missed the Xavier Rhodes rants, laughing my ass off. You to go. Q1 was Ezra that much better than Josh Jones? How the hell did we not get Winfield or pass up Moss? I appreciate that, Darian. So to answer your question, was Ezra that much better than Josh Jones? I didn't care if the Vikings got Josh Jones or Ezra Cleveland at that moment, considering, oh my God, we made trade for Trent Williams. But I can understand why they took Ezra Cleveland ahead of Josh Jones, because I think right now, day one, Ezra Cleveland is more ready for the outside zone scheme that we run ahead of Josh Jones, even though I think Josh Jones is a bit more physical than an Ezra Cleveland. I don't fault the Vikings either way. I think they addressed the spot. Ezra Cleveland, Josh Jones, I'm absolutely good with it. Xavier Rhodes, he's gone. He's with the Indy Colts. I'm not going to keep destroying him. I think that would be pretty petty of me to keep talking about a guy that's not on the team anymore. And how did we not get Winfield or pass up Moss? Because I think he's more of a safety. I know there's talk that he could play nickel at the next level, but I think Jeff Gladney is a better spot to play nickel for us than Antoine Winfield consistently. I think he's more of a safety, and I think Antoine Winfield is a day one starting safety regardless of who he plays for. He's with the Tampa Bay Bucks, right? Let me look that up. That's going to kill me real quick. Antoine Winfield is with Antoine Winfield, Duda. He's with me. Yeah, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think he's a day one starter. He's very smart, run sideline to sideline. I love his game, but it really, Jeff Gladney is a better fit right now than Antoine Winfield that I think could use a little bit more work to be a consistent nickel at the next level. But safety, I think he's going to be fantastic. We'll do one more. We will do one more. Cody Brown. Actually, no, we'll do two more because this caught me by surprise. Cody Brown says, okay, Randy, there have been multiple reports that we may trade for Patrick Peterson. Thoughts? Didn't really look good last year, but I haven't seen anything like that. That would be very interesting. I don't know if, and I know this is kind of a twist on when you look at the Vikings cornerback depth before the draft compared to now. I don't know if we really have a need for Patrick Peterson, if that makes sense. I'd love for him to be on the team, but I'm good with Cam Dantzler. I'm good with Jeff Gladney. I'm good with seeing if Mike Hughes can step up. Patrick Peterson, it'd be nice. I'm not going to poo-poo it if they do it. I haven't seen those reports at all. I wouldn't mind it. I don't know if we necessarily need him. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Actually, let's see if are there any more picks that I want to talk about. Not really. Josh Metellus, I think he'll make the team. He's a younger Andrew Sendejo, lays the wood. So if we let go of Anthony Harris after this season, then I think he's a guy that can step up. Harrison Hand, he's another guy that can possibly play safety at the next level. But as far as the rest of the picks, not really nothing to raise hell about. Blake Brandel, he's never going to get a starting opportunity, but I like him as a depth project. And then the 7th round picks, I really don't care. Nate Stanley, I've said all I've had to say about him and the backup quarterback competition. Sean Mannion is the greatest backup quarterback of all time. He deserves to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He deserves his gold jacket right now. And that's all there is to it. Nobody's beating the GOAT. Michael Rucker says Patrick Peterson alone would eliminate any doubt in our cornerback room. Okay, I agree. I would rather more so at this point in time invest in the cornerbacks that we have. If we had not gotten Cam Dantzler, then I'm all for it. Absolutely 100%. But I want to see what this dude can do at the next level. Patrick Peterson, like I said, we get him. I'll be good with it. As far as the big takeaway, one last point that I'm going to make before we get out of here. As far as the big takeaway, as far as where the Vikings stand in the NFC North division, I don't know if they're going to be championship contenders, but I think they'll be a legit team that can compete for a playoff spot. In the NFC North division, I think it's going to be a little bit tough to win the division, to win the North, because the Packers are still there, even though they had a shitty draft. The Bears, they were one quarterback away. They're literally just one quarterback away from making some noise. And I tell you what, folks, Nick Foles will win the starting quarterback job for the Chicago Bears. And I like Nick Foles a lot. And what they're asking from the quarterback group, from the quarterback position in Chicago, is not a lot. And Jacksonville didn't work out. When he broke his sternum or his clavicle, whatever that was, where he was out half the year, he threw a touchdown pass in the first game. Nick Foles is exactly what the Chicago Bears need. So I think it's going to be a little bit tough winning the NFC North. Maybe the Vikings and Bears are neck and neck. I have no idea, but I think the Vikings have a chance to be one of the 2 wildcard teams in the NFC conference. We'll see how that works out. Any other questions? Let's see. Michael Rucker says, low-key, the NFC North is the toughest division in football this season. Could be a tie between the NFC North and the NFC West. Cardinals are a lot better with Nuke. The Rams, they're going to be there. The Seattle Seahawks with Russell Wilson, they're going to be there. The Niners, they got Trent Williams. They might be, I would say the NFC West is the toughest. NFC North they might be right behind. But in the NFC South, don't forget them. I wouldn't dismiss the Carolina Panthers with Teddy Bridgewater. I think him and Christian McCaffrey will do great things. The Saints, they're there. The Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're going to be legit, especially adding Rob Gronkowski. The NFC North is definitely one of the toughest divisions in all of football, but we'll see how the season plays out in 2020. I want to again thank all of you guys for hanging around with the channel during draft weekend. I hope you guys had a great time. But this video, I wanted to do a YouTube live just to do some interaction with you guys. So hope you guys are staying safe out there. Hope your family and friends are doing well. We'll see you next time.